the transient lifestyle has now become glamping. Yep. It's like you can go, you can get a tent, you can live there, and this is what happens. And I think what's happening is even the outreach, the volunteers, the people that work with the homeless are saying, man, this is just a scheme. This is now, people are just doing it because they can live above and beyond civil society, which I get. I understand what she's talking about. No boss, no bills, no mortgages, free meds, free meals. But there's got to be some reciprocity to society. Don't make our lives hell. You can have your commune in the desert. Hell, I'll help pay for that. But you can't be on the street defecating. You can't, scare the crap out of our kids, right? You can't make our lives a living hell. We get it. We understand that that you don't want to live by our rules, but then you don't get to live with us, right? It's like the parents cutting off the drug addict and kicking them out of the house no matter how much they love them. Cities have to do this. They're homeless by choice. They are not your children. They are not your responsibility. We are paying for that responsibility, and it's their lifestyle. We are supporting a lifestyle. It's time to stop.
It is difficult on Fox News to out-disgusting Tucker Carlson, but if there's anyone who could do it, it's Gutfeld. That was reprehensible, disgusting, entitled, rich noble looking down on the peasants BS is all that was. And it would be bad enough if you had just a multimillionaire who would go on TV and talk to an audience of millions and say, I hate the unhoused, I despise them, I don't want them to be here. That would be bad enough. But to come out and say, oh, I despise them, I hate them, and I don't want them to be here because they've got it too good. They're getting one over on you. All of you other wealthy middle-class people watching this TV, sitting on your couch in your living room with a roof above your head, you're getting screwed over because they're out there glamping with their free meals that they've got. Don't you wish you could go to a soup kitchen? Don't you wish you could live as large as the unhoused are living? It is the combination of, like, from a supposedly populist network, the disgusting anger at people who have the least in society, and then lying to pretend that they're the best off. Farron,
it's shocking. It's just genuinely shocking to hear this man who, as you say, probably got millions of dollars worth of contracts with Fox News, sitting there saying, by God, these people are living it up, pooping in the street, and you're having to pay bills. Wouldn't you much rather be these people? But we got to get them out of here. I'll pay for to move them to the desert. I don't even know. I don't even know how he comes up with this. I don't know how you can convince your own brain that this is something that should be said out loud. I mean, beyond reprehensible, as you say. These are people that are victims of this system of capitalism we have in the United States today. They are victims of the job market, victims of bad politics, victims of drug dependencies, victims of mental illness, people that do need help. And you're sitting there demonizing them by saying they're living the high life in a tent, under the overpass, while you're somehow worse off than I don't know. I just
disgusting.
Beyond despicable. I don't even know what to say.
Imagine if Greg Gutfeld had to spend one honest week with nothing, just trying to survive, no benefit of the many powerful rich people that he knows, the organizations set up to defend him, his PR teams, his personal assistants, his makeup artists, his personal driver, likely his butler. If he was stripped of all of that for 1 week and just had to survive, it'll never happen. He would never do it. And if they did set up something like that, they would cheat. They would just cheat. But the idea that you could believe that is, it's like Farron said, how could you get your brain to accept the idea that, like, imagine if you just had to spend one night, let's say you have a house. You have to sleep in your backyard tomorrow. You don't get a tent, you don't get anything. You're literally, you're gonna be fine in the morning. You just have to be uncomfortable, exposed to the weather for one night. Who would wanna do that? knowing that they'll be perfectly fine in the morning. The idea that you could convince yourself that there are millions of people who are doing this by choice is so counter to everything everyone knows about the choices we make, how desperate we are to keep employment, to have money, to not lose our apartment or not lose our house. And everybody knows that. I don't know why I have to try to convince them of this. They all know that this is true. They just want a reason to feel morally superior for wishing that this community was gone. And that's why when he says go to the desert, that's like the most transparent part of this. He wants them to go to the desert and he wants them to die. Like, I don't want to mince words anymore. He wishes all of these people were dead. That's what it is. It's not the only community that he wishes was utterly wiped out, but this is one that the Five regularly goes to. We talk about it on the show constantly, and it's almost always a video from the Five. They despise the unhoused.
Well, you know what too though? This harkens back to Ronald Reagan's attack on welfare recipients. Oh, these people are living it up on the government assistance here while you're struggling in your 9-to-5 job. You can't pay your bills, and it's because of these people. These others, whatever the others are at the time, whatever's politically expedient for these people, we're gonna make you hate them so you feel better about your lot in life and don't question why those of us at the top have so much and you have so little. It's not because of us, it's because of the poors, right? Those are the others that the Five is trying to use to get people to hate them. No, the people sitting around that table, those are the ones you should be hating.
By the way, really fast. In Missouri, new state law took effect just a couple days ago, makes it a crime for any person to sleep on state property. For unhoused people, sleeping in public parks or under city highways could mean up to $750 in fines or 15 days in prison for multiple offenses. I've never seen a policy that makes more sense than fining people $750 who are so desperate that they're sleeping out in the open on state property. What percentage of regular people, I'm like speaking specifically to the people watching this, how would you feel if you got a $750 fine right now? Up until not that many years ago, I would have been utterly, I remember when I got a $165 ticket. I was going to my restaurant, I worked at a restaurant as a waiter, and my heart almost stopped when I saw what the ticket was. I had a job, I had an apartment. Actually, I had 2 jobs at that point. I was a tutor at UT and I was working at an Indian restaurant. And $165 almost left me weeping because of how big of a hit it is. Someone who's literally sleeping on a bench, you're gonna charge $750. Anyway, there's a bunch of other, LA is banning homeless encampments within 500 feet of schools and daycares. Eric Adams made it so city officials have outlawed houseless people from sleeping on the city's subway system or riding the trains at night. And so, look, it's all over the place. It ain't just on the Five.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.